IELTS Writing Task 1. You will see 2 pie charts and 1 bar graph. Here they are. There are 2 pie charts and 1 bar graph. Notice the pie charts are about spending by the government on arts. The bar chart refers to the number of people in each of these arts. You can look at them again in a minute. Here is the task. The charts below show one government spending on culture and education in 2000 and 2010 and the number of people participating in these events in the same years. Now the next section here is the same for every IELTS. You have to select, you have to report the main features and then make comparisons. These are your instructions every time. Let's have a look at the graphs again. There are the pie charts, and there is the bar graph. There are 2 distinct years, and there are 10 years between the 2 years. You always start with an overview paragraph. Remember, you are writing a report, not an essay. So it's not an introduction like in an essay. The information provided in the pie charts and the bar graph indicates the changes in government expenditure on the arts and how many people attend arts events. The data shows the difference over 10 years, from 2000 to 2010. What is my hint to write a good overview? You don't have to explain or describe everything, just the main features. Remember this, don't try to put everything in your text. And you always start with an overview to show the reader the general purpose. What is the general purpose? To indicate the changes in government spending. And notice this little S here indicates, because the subject is information, which is singular. That is the overview. The second paragraph is quite a bit longer, because the second paragraph describes 2 pie charts. I'm going to read it quickly, and then I will point out some very good IELTS features, which will make your examiner very happy. The pie charts show proportionally how much the government spent on the arts according to 4 different arts. In 2000, music accounted for almost half of the arts spending. By 2010, this had changed to theatre receiving more money than the others, while music dropped to about 1/3 of the arts budget. As for visual arts and literature, both of these received a smaller proportion of the money in both years. In 2000, just under 1/4 of the arts budget was given to visual arts, and literature received roughly 1/10. 10 years later, the money allocated to visual arts had dropped, while literature was receiving about the same. That is very high-level English. Don't panic. Let's just look at a couple of things. There are the graphs again. Try to make connections. For example, music dropped to about 1/3. Music here is almost a half, but here it dropped to about 1/3. What about this one? 10 years later, the money allocated to visual arts had dropped. Let's look at visual arts. Here it is, and it too is smaller. So the text is very clear. Did you notice the verbs, especially past perfect? By, year, comma, noun, had, ed. You can do that. It's easy. Just remember, this year must be in the past. By 2010 in the past, comma, subject, this, which is music, had changed. Down here, 10 years later, comma, then a big subject, had, ed. It's almost the same grammar. So that is a very good technique to practice. By, year, comma, past perfect. Or number, years later, comma, subject, past perfect. Now for the third paragraph. We already discussed the pie charts. Now we have to discuss the bar graph. The bar graph is concerned with actual participation. Use the words from the task. Actual participation in the 4 types of arts. Music had the highest participation rate for both years, and it grew by over 50,000 people over the decade, reaching about 150,000 in 2010. The lowest rate of participation was at literature events. It did, however, there is a linker of contrast. It did, however, marginally grow to reach about 30,000 people in 2010. Visual arts had a negligible decline in attendance, while theatre had a slight growth in attendance. Please don't worry if this is high level, just learn some little things. Here is a hint. Change the word form. You can write verb, adverb, grows moderately, declined sharply, or you can write article, adjective, noun, a moderate growth, a sharp decline. IELTS examiners love this variety in word form. So word forms matter, but so do prepositions. Look at this one, in. We have a rise in, a drop in, an increase in. And here are similar sentences with verb and adverb. And you can pause this video and have a look yourself. Here is a list of noun phrases. Many IELTS students just write single words or maybe 2 words for nouns. But a high-level IELTS student will write noun phrases. You can have a look at these in your own time. Here is the whole text. Do you think it's too long? What do you think? 150 words minimum, remember? There were 2 pie charts and 1 bar graph. This text is 191 words. It had more than 1 graph, multiple sets of data. So as an IELTS student, you have to spend more time deciding what the main features are, and more time to decide what is relevant and what detail to leave out or not write. So, the text does not have to become too long. You just have to make good choices. And here are the graphs one more time.